What's happening, guys? chumq back again with another video. Now today we're going to be looking at the Nintendo Switch. It's finally out. Today is release date. So we've got the Nintendo Switch to unbox and a copy of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So I'll give this to Matt. This is Matt and this is Alex, aka Peanut, who you've seen in other videos. Alright, let's get to it. So looking at the front of the box, you've got your Switch console with the controller over there. Pretty simple packaging. You've got very Nintendo-like, not too flash, but it's kind of playful as well. It's got some red and white. Onto the back, you've just got the Switch with the Joy-Cons that you can pull out. A few other pictures here on the side, and some other ones here in action. Now let's get this box opened up and see what we have inside. So let's get this thing out of the box. It's very simple packaging. That's pretty much it. You've got your Switch console system over here, followed by the two Joy-Cons. We've chosen to get the black over the orange and the red. So apart from the console and the Joy-Cons, we also have the two Joy-Con grips, which you can slot on the side of each Joy-Con. It's got some nice straps as well, just so that you can attach it to your wrist like that. And it just saves it from getting lost. So that's quite a cool thing to have right there. So that's your Joy-Con grip, where basically after you get the two small Joy-Cons, you can slot them into each of these two sides here, just to have more of a full-bodied controller versus the two tiny Joy-Cons. Actually, let's get the Joy-Cons out of these plastic so we can see what it looks like. They're actually very tiny. If you have a look and see how big they are in comparison to my hand. I have a small hand, so looking at this is actually very tiny. Other things in the box, you've got your basic HDMI cable. Comes standard with all Switch boxes. And then finally, you've got the Switch stand, which doesn't really do anything, but actually just houses the Switch when you plug it in. From the back, you can open up this bit. This is where all the cables go in, your HDMI, your USB, and your AC adapter power cord. On the front, you can see you've got the Nintendo Switch logo. Right, so these are all the contents out of the box. You've got your Switch console. This is the docking station. These are the Joy-Con grips. You've got two of them. Your HDMI cable. You've got your AC power adapter. This is the Joy-Con grip, where two of the small Joy-Cons slot in to this sides here. So what we'll try to do now is we're going to get the Joy-Cons and put them in the Joy-Con grip. See if it slots in fairly easily. Actually, that was not so bad to do. Let's get the other one out.
And it makes
the
Switch signature
sound.
click. Oh, that actually feels... have a feel of this. It feels a bit cheap.
So now we've got the Joy-Cons with the Joy-Con grip. It's probably a good idea to compare this to the two most used controllers. You've got the PlayStation 4 controller and the Xbox One controller. This is what they all look like side by side. Fairly more the same size, I guess, as your Xbox controller, as it's got this big fat squarey bit here in the middle. In terms of ergonomics, I mean, holding it, yeah, it does feel a little bit cheaper than the other two controllers. You've got your LNRs, your XYBAs here. So you've got your share button, which I think they will be activating later on with other features when they update the software. And you've got your home button on this side.
I mean...
So what do you think about how this controller matches up?
weight-wise, this weight is about 10 times heavier than this. Like, the Xbox is probably the densest controller.
In terms of weight,
in terms of weight, I would say they're about the same. Would you say?
Yeah, actually they do feel a lot similar in weight compared to the Xbox. I think the Xbox is probably the heaviest weightage of all three controllers.
I mean, I'm kind of used to both of them. Whether that will be the same remains to be seen, but obviously we can't diss it until we've tried it. But my first impressions is that just feels a little bit cheap than it should be.
I guess in terms of design, it's very similar to the Xbox, isn't it? Like in terms of the way the analog sticks there.
Yeah. Now, if this is too flimsy for you, there is an option to buy a Pro controller at an extra cost. It is an extra add-on. Doesn't come with the Switch box. So if you don't actually like the new gamepad that they designed, you can actually go out and buy a Pro controller instead. All right, so we're going to go to the Switch now. We're going to get the 2 Joy-Cons. We're going to plug them on each side of the Switch and then just see how it actually feels all together.
Now, when you pick this up, this feels quality.
Does it?
Yeah. This feels like a quality piece of kit.
The issue, though, that I've seen online with the Nintendo Switch is the kick flip stand seems to be a bit flimsy. So sometimes when people put it down on the surface, it might fall and topple over. And it actually feels quite thin. Actually, if you feel that there, just nudge it a bit.
Yeah.
It actually feels like it'll pop out quite easily. Like if you put some force down. It just
seems like the guy who built this was a veteran. And then the guy who built this was like on a temporary fucking work visa. And this is what they added.
So the guy was on a day off when they designed this Switch.
Or it took years and they said, you've not got enough time, we've got to release this on the 3rd of March. And he's like, fuck, but we haven't built this. And they're like, I don't know, just put anything on it.
And
but
that's
that
what
seems
happened.
really cheap.
Just be careful with it because I can probably see a lot of people knocking the kick flip.
And there's going to be a lot of lawsuits. Because it may kill a small child, you know.
You never
Off
know.
the table. Feel that, Matt. What do you reckon, mate? Like, you're scared.
Yeah, you're scared to just like open
you
it
don't
up.
Want to.
You probably can snap this quite easily. Yeah.
Actually,
like
if you just flick it with your finger like that, you'll probably get it clean off easily.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get the 2 Joy-Cons and put them side to side for the Switch, and then see what the whole thing looks like.
So that's what it looks like with the Joy-Cons connected to it. Now,
if you compare that to like a PS Vita.
Yeah, so we've actually got a PS Vita, just to show you the size comparison with the full Nintendo Switch and its 2 Joy-Cons side by side. It's actually a lot bigger, but if you take the 2 Joy-Cons out, it actually is almost the same size as your Vita. It's just the Joy-Cons actually extend the ends a bit more.
But that actually feels like a proper gaming system. This feels quality. Like that feels like a quality game device.
It doesn't actually feel, when you have the whole Switch in your hand, that it's awkwardly placed. Like you've got the Joy-Con on both sides, and it feels like you can actually control the game quite easily. But so far, it looks good. Apart from the kickflip stand in the back, that's probably the one thing that I found that is mediocrely done. But it actually looks like a solid console design so far. What do you think?
At first thought, I thought the screen would have been a bit too big, and like, you know, as a mobile console versus the Vita.
Yeah, if you look at it.
Like if you have it like above the other one. But I mean, I guess we need to turn it on and actually
just
play
it out.
to see
but
how
so
it goes.
far it looks pretty solid.
Yeah.
Now let's see what it feels like when you actually put it on the dock, and then try to get the Joy-Cons out. Because so far, watching all the videos, it seems like it's actually an easy thing to do, and we're gonna test that out. So we got the Nintendo Switch into the dock. One of the things that we noticed by doing this is that when you put the Switch downwards, you would almost expect a clicking noise to sort of lock the two in place. I've seen that done in videos, and then you could also see when they take the Joy-Con out, this thing firmly stays in place. But for some reason, that's not the case. I don't actually know if we're actually doing it incorrectly by not locking the whole console into the dock. But we've tried it a bit, and it doesn't really feel like it's firmly in there. Like it's quite wiggly. Yeah, what do you think about that? It's quite I don't know. I'm a bit disappointed because I thought that it would also
I'm not disappointed.
click.
Yeah.
It's your baby, dude.
I'm not disappointed. But if you think about it, if this is hard to get out, when you come to take your console out, you'll end up taking this and the wires and the TV and everything. So it's just a dock. I'm not sure where they did it in the videos where they unclick these really easily. You know, there isn't some guy going like this and putting his hand over and stuff like that. But this is, at the end of the day, this is just the dock for the machine.
Well, exactly. You know, it's just going to stay there, like, you know, usually just in front of your TV.
First impressions for me, this is a bit cheap. The Joy-Cons are slightly small, but the unit itself is a quality unit, except the kickstand. That's the only thing I'm disappointed in, but it does feel like a quality unit.
I would have preferred, though, if they bundled a game with it. It kind of sucks that you had to buy Breath of the Wild separately or any of the other games. So that would have been something that would have been nice if Nintendo actually put a bundle option versus no bundle option. But just echoing on what Alex is saying, the console itself is actually pretty solid. I like the build, the feel of it, the materials that they've used. It feels pretty solid. It's got a very massive screen. The Joy-Cons attached to the side are actually, it fits. There's no movement. It's not jittering or it doesn't wobble. I'd probably be playing it a lot more this way, or maybe with the Joy-Con grip, or probably the Pro Controller. I don't think I'd be enjoying the Switch playing it just with the Joy-Cons, because that's quite tiny. But the good thing is, at least with the out of the box, you can have a 2-player game straight away. You don't have to buy a second controller. It's just that you'll be playing with the Joy-Cons. You're not going to get the full gaming experience like with an actual size controller like this one.
So if you've got friends with small hands,
or children,
or you have small hands yourself, it's absolutely perfect.
No worries.
But as I say, our hands are quite medium and we think they're quite small.
It is really tiny. Like if you compare it to an actual controller for the PlayStation, that's really tiny.
And you think of where the analog is
compared to where
where the buttons are. It's too close together, aren't they?
It's like I would be playing like that. Yeah. Right, so right now we've got the Nintendo Switch, and we'd like to show you what it looks like beside, as much as possible, all of the other consoles that have come out in the Nintendo history, barring the Wii U, because we don't have a copy of the console, and it was a console that we didn't really want to invest in. The first one we'll bring up is the Nintendo Family Computer. So this is probably one of the first ones that have come out, cartridge-based. You've got your controllers, 1 and 2. That is the size of your controller. A lot bigger than your Joy-Con if you have a look at it. But the cord length, obviously not that long. So back in the day when we were playing, we'd have to actually be very close to the TV, which was crazy.
But the TVs were very small back then.
That is true though. That is true. So it scaled very well.
It scaled
I actually
very
didn't
well.
think about that. Thank you for pointing that out. So that is a look at the Family Computer beside the Nintendo Switch. So we don't have the actual NES, but we've got the NES Mini. In terms of size comparison, obviously we can't do that. But just to have a look at what it looks like, this is the scaled down version. This actually came out Christmas time. Very hot item. Everyone went nuts with it. Sold out. Had a second pre-order. Sold out again. I don't think Nintendo's going to be releasing it again, but that is a look at the NES. Alright, next console we have up is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Now I actually did buy this one. I had the Super NES, the other version, so I haven't played on this version yet. I think both of you have.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Was this my one?
Yeah, this is actually no, this one, yeah.
This is my childhood.
So this is more Matthias' childhood. He actually played heaps on this this console. I had the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, so I can't really say much about this, but that's what it looks like beside your Switch. How did you find this console?
Amazing.
This was awesome, mate.
Was it?
Yeah, amazing.
There were heaps of good games on it.
I
think
these two made Nintendo. The NES
I think that one
and
probably
the Super
did.
NES.
Yeah.
You know, some of the games on there were absolutely classic. But yeah, the Super NES, classic console. Everybody should have owned one, or at least try to play on one. You know, it was the console of its generation.
Right, next console we've got up is the Nintendo GameCube. I actually did not have a copy of this console. By the time this came out, I think the PlayStation 1 was probably coming out, and I shifted from Nintendo to PlayStation. I've skipped this one, the N64, the Wii, because I actually stayed on track with the PlayStation and Xbox consoles because they're just more powerful. But Al, and did you have one of these? No?
Yeah.
You had this. You played this, didn't you?
That's mine.
Yeah. Well, but how did you find this one? I mean,
This console was very hit and miss. As I say, it wasn't anything that really kicked off. It was a kind of a meh console, like a few good games that was good, but this never really
took off.
Not like these.
Yeah. Next up, we've got the Nintendo 64, the N64. So when this came out, I think this was rivaling the Sega Saturn, if I'm not mistaken. I think Mario was a very big game on this one. I don't know because I actually didn't play it, but
I think Mario Kart was a really good game.
Is there one game that you guys think of when you think of the N64?
I'd probably just say Mario.
I'll tell
game.
you a game.
Zelda.
GoldenEye.
Actually, that is true. GoldenEye has been an epic. It was one of the most epic games, and it sold a
Apparently
lot.
it was really good.
Yeah.
GoldenEye was like groundbreaking at the time.
Because it was first-person shooter.
Yeah. That was the game to play on the N64.
Like if you had one of these,
you needed
you
GoldenEye.
needed GoldenEye.
All right, so the next console we've got up is the Wii. The Wii was a revolutionary device where Nintendo tried to make this a very physical gaming type console. I didn't really like it that much. I preferred to just sit down and play games in a boring fashion. This one made you get up, move your arms, and that Wii remote, flailing it like a crazy person. A lot of TVs were broken in that era, especially when people were playing bowling and tennis. This was probably the most widely sold console in terms of units to date. The graphics, it's not known for the graphics, nope.
No.
But the fun factor and the novelty, definitely this is up there in terms of Nintendo's creative flair when it comes to designing consoles. This next one is the Game Boy, one of the best handheld consoles ever made. Green screen, 4 AA batteries, cartridge based, and I think this sold a quite decent amount of units. So that is your Game Boy right beside your Switch in terms of a size comparison. Finally, I've got a Nintendo 3DS, and that's what it looks like with your Switch in place. There have obviously been a lot of DSs. There's a DS, DS Lite, 2DS, 3DS. There's also the new 3DS. So this I've seen quite a lot of successes in terms of selling. It's actually still ongoing. I think Nintendo is still going to keep this line. It's not going to compete so much with the Nintendo Switch. This is a different category. This is more heads-to-heads with your Xbox and PlayStation. But it is a hybrid console in that. Alright guys, so that was a look at the Nintendo Switch unboxing. Our first impressions on it. Also a look through history with as much Nintendo consoles as we could put together for you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave a comment below. Subscribe to the channel to see more content like this. And again, thanks for watching.